Professor of quite a distinction, teaching at a couple of places, Montclair and Rutgers as well, advising Greg Schiano on how he can cover a couple of point spreads, and also performing on Scripps TV. Welcome back to the show. Well, one of our favorite and a member of the Degenerate Brethren, one of our favorites, the great Len Robbins joins us here on the program. Len, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. You got the intro wrong a little. It's not Rutgers, it's Rikers.
Well, appropriate, I guess. Especially with what's going on in the world today.
The time!
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Welcome to a Degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. We got one Mike Lubitz there on the one side in that little box there, which would be, what, is it juxtaposed, Lubie? You're to my left, but I guess you're to the people's right. Not sure exactly how that goes. But we are here and hopefully in focus and a lot to zero in on, because we're going to have a little old school session here with Tony Segreto. We missed Tony on Wednesday. He was traveling back from his digs in Vermont here to South Florida. And catches a little bit of Vermont weather. It's cooled off a little bit. Seems like it's absolutely going to be gorgeous out. Supposedly that's the prediction. I think, Lubie. I don't know if you've seen any weather reports, but
I was just outside now. It was nice. It wasn't nippy, obviously, but it was decent for.
Oh yeah, by our standards. Well, you feel like you landed on the sun as soon as you step outside. But I think this is supposed to be the way it's going to go for the weekend. Although, as we often say, if you could book the Weatherman's action, you'd be a rich man today. Even all the way back to Tony's good friend, Weaver the Weatherman, who was a stone degenerate, would spend his time between the 6 and 11. Where would you find him? At the Biscayne Kennel Club. Up there enjoying the benefits of the good graces of one Ken Malden, who was the publicity director at the time, and then went on to become somewhat of a legendary Haywood Hale Bruin type sports update announcer, and he would come in like 10 hours before the shift started to start creating these sports updates, which a lost art, Lubie, far and away. One of the biggest lost arts in the industry was the sports update, which used to be like 3 minutes long. Sometimes they give you 4, even 5.
Yeah.
And you would play some clips and all kinds of stuff. You'd be able to get both sides of the story out, then all the scores and everything else. That was a thing of the past. And it was reduced down to winners were Cleveland, Detroit, and Chicago. You're in the car driving, and you got traffic, boulders are flying at you, and you're thinking, who the fuck did they play? We don't know. We just gave you the winners. Winners were. That was always my least favorite abbreviation whenever you were doing a sportscast. Okay, and in other games, winners were. Winners last night. Wow. Is there a way to detect a stench through the screen in this video streaming era, Lubie?
I don't know. I mean, look, you were actually weary. I was the one that I guess I hadn't paid enough attention to Pitt at all because
my God,
they were the complete team and Syracuse was literally their quarterback and nothing else.
This guy transferred. He should transfer again after last night's game. 5 picks times the Syracuse record. 2 in the first quarter. Well, he had 3 in the first quarter, but 2 for touchdowns.
Oh, God, you're having 5
2 pick sixes in the first quarter. There were still like 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. You're already down like 70-0. It was unbelievable. So I gave out a very faint pick yesterday. I did it on one of our gambling shows also. As I had a little technical difficulty. The guy that usually comes on and handicaps with me, he couldn't make it into the show somehow. And so I felt compelled to give out a game. And never do that. Never feel obligated, no matter what you're doing. You could be on any handicapping show. There are a zillion of them now. In fact, FanDuel is buying. When this is the speculation, Lubie. What's the over/under on FanDuel buying CBS?
Oh God!
Where Gail King comes on in the morning and goes, "All right, here's the rundown. I tell you what, we got a lot of hockey tonight. We're going to talk some pucks here on the show." Great, Gail. It's only a matter of time, though, right? They bought all of the. Did they buy all of the Bally's regional sports cable systems?
Remember Sarney was saying they didn't. Not all of them got bought. Like certain ones got bought, got coverage. Not everyone got bought, I guess.
Is there any significance to it? I mean, I guess if FanDuel is sponsoring it now until America goes broke and the rest of the world joins them, then you're pretty secure that this network will be around for a while because they got plenty of money. That's for sure. They're making all kinds of scratch. Talked yesterday. We have a show on Bleacher Brothers Network. Bleacher Brothers Network. All you have to do is Google Bleacher Brothers. You'll find a couple of shows that we're doing there: Conversations and License to Steal. License to Steal, in essence, is a conglomeration of what I do during a week on this no filter network called Bury Your Bookie. I had to change the name, protect the innocent. But essentially, the same handicappers come on there. We just combine them all at once. But I did have my friend Dylan Rossi on, who is the guy that we've been talking about. I thought I was going to have to use the old silhouette on the video and then a voice shredder, Lubie. But he was perfectly okay with this. And it brings up an interesting question about degeneracy, which is if you have something going like he does, where he's got a ticket out there, sure, you would love for the world to know about it, but is it advantageous? That's the question. Where he's got a ticket out there that's if the Dodgers win the World Series, he cashes 90,000. And if the Dodgers win the World Series, and that was on a $100 ticket, 4-element parlay, 4 components, all involving championship teams. So he's picked the first 3. He's got the Dodgers. He gets them home. He gets 90,000 for his $100 bet, and stays alive for 480,000 on a $50 bet. If he can continue this run of success, get the Dodgers home, he'd have 4 out of 5. With the Ravens needed to win the Super Bowl, and he cashes for $500,000. Now,
that's the other problem there. It's not a problem, but the other thing there about with hedging and all that crap, the Ravens are coming on.
No, they look great, don't they?
He found a way to have all these favorites that people weren't sure about that ended up win.
Yeah.
I don't know about hedging. Like, I'm not going to lie. We're, like you said, a bunch of nebbish Jews that we are finding look, it's what's happening with the election. Everyone's finding the way to be negative, even though all the markers are good. We have to find the one negative, and that's fine. You're like,
no. He's winning, Lubie. I'm telling you.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if he needs to hedge. Like, oh no, oh good, yeah. It's
a surprise development. He got the endorsement, Trumpster, of the New York Post.
Oh, shocker.
Hey, right-wing Rupert Murdoch paper with a good sports section.
You got the endorsement of 4 different Republican mayor and governors yesterday. But yeah, let's worry about the Post. Anyways, that's fine.
I'm not sure the people responded to stuff because if they did, this would have been over a long time ago, Louis.
It's never over. That's wrong. We haven't had an election over a long time ago since none. Obama won both elections decidedly, and both.
But he wasn't running against somebody that was just a stone con man criminal.
But it doesn't matter.
Where it was so obvious that this guy's off the wall.
I don't even want to fight about
that. And we've seen what he did the first time.
But it doesn't matter. Like, people are who they are and they vote who they are. I was talking to a guy yesterday on X, Twitter, and he's like, the last 4 years. And I'm like, the last 4 years? I'm like, that is such a talking point bunch of bullshit. First of all, the country can be kicking ass. FDR can be the fucking president after the Depression and everyone's rolling. And there's still people that are struggling. Like, no one's ever all great. Like, that's such a weird misnomer. The markers are what they are. They matter. And the last 4 years.
That's a good point. When was the last time everybody in the world was happy? In America, yeah.
I know you don't like the facts and you don't, the economy, fuck the economy strong. Look at gas. Well, gas is down $2 over the last 6 months to a year. Look at the economy. We're the strongest economy in the world by a lot. Like, literally every other government now, even China that supposedly was overtaken. Anyways, I don't even want to get into any of this. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's a little too deep.
What I'm saying is, like, I don't know. I'm not. It's just a whole nother thing.
I'm hoping you're right. I really am, Libby. I am hoping you're right.
Well, no, look. I mean, I was just telling Mayo, and it's funny.
Mayo got so angry at you yesterday when you started talking about this that I thought he was going to throw that pizza at you.
I sound like a conspiratorial liberal, but that's not. I'm not even talking like that. Like, I'm just talking about if you watch the coverage.
Yeah.
When Biden was old, oh God, it's so easy to get me into this thing. Anyways, I don't care about any of that. Vote how you fucking want. Just go
I figured you got to leave some room for your FSU rant.
Just go vote. I mean, there's nothing there to rant about.
The Heat are 0-1. They're off to a horrible start.
I talked with Ken about that last night. It's just very depressing. Anyways, for Dylan to hedge sort of doesn't make sense. Like, it's sort of coming to him. They all find a way to, even the favorites that you don't know if they're going to win. He's on a nice little heater.
Oh, what an enviable position to be in, though. I mean, it was great to hear. He actually started to lean towards, and this makes sense. All right, look, don't get overly greedy. Sure, if the Dodgers win the World Series, he gets to 90,000. It's the stuff of which legends are made. But the Yankees, now I saw them as high as plus 120, but I'm seeing plus 110 now in the series. And so anyway, you could bet 45 grand or whatever to pick up 50. And you're still going to pick up 45,000 if the Dodgers win. So what's wrong with that? You'll be guaranteeing yourself 45 grand, Libby. I mean, if you were on Let's Make a Deal, and this was the offer, or you could take the box, you're going to take the 45 grand every time. It's a substantial amount of money on a $100 bet. Now, he did bet other combinations. He said he had a total of 600 invested in all of this.
Okay, so they were okay.
But I mean, still,
Still.
if you're going to cash 50,000 on that, I'm taking it right now. So it sounded like an inclination, and this is the tough part for the degenerate out there that is looking at this as a possible salvation, even vicariously living through another person that you may never get to meet or know. And you're thinking, wow, that's just sensational stuff to carve out off a $100 ticket, a $90,000 payoff. And like you're saying, Lubie, it wasn't really all that far-fetched, was it? Could you come up with UConn? Yeah, I don't know that you needed to consult, some sports service for that. They were 5-1, 5.5-1 actually, which wasn't bad. But I mean, that's because you have to traverse a lot of things, regardless of how superior your team may be. We've seen great teams lose in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Oh my God,
it happens.
Back to back again. The Gators were the last team to do it. That was the aughts.
Yeah,
it was 2007-8. Like it'd been 15 years since that had happened.
The Celtics. I mean, look, everybody thought that the West was going to win the championship, no matter who represented the West.
No, it ain't easy.
That the East was weak. So, I mean, that wasn't that far-fetched. And the Panthers looked like a Stanley Cup team, certainly in there with a shot. You get 8.5-1 on that. And the Dodgers were the favorites to win the World Series before the season.
Yes, but to get off,
how could you have a 4-element, almost all chalk parlay and cap 90,000 for 100?
Because it's fucking a parlay, a season-ending parlay,
which
you never know. Baseball, like you never know. I mean.
Well, I mean, he's not home on that yet. So if he doesn't hedge, he could end up with zero, and all of his talk was for nothing. Right?
That's true.
Kind of like this show. I don't think you're changing any votes, Lubie, although I'm always shocked when I see somebody that I know and have great respect for hanging a Trump banner.
It's whatever.
And declaring that I voted. And I'm seeing this on social media, and I don't want to immediately hit the unfriend button because I'm not like that. I mean, look, believe whatever you want. If I'm not a big believer that there is some omnipotent God. Plenty of people are very religious that I know. That's fine. I mean, I look at the other side of it and say, well, if that was the case, then how come every trailer park gets wiped out when the wind blows over 10 miles an hour? It's, it does seem a little bit unjust if there is this God out there. But live your life any way you want. It's just, I don't know what it is, Lubie. Somebody I see hanging like a giant Trump banner proudly displaying that. And I'm thinking,
because he's taking it to weird places. Look,
what am I reading the New York Post? What am I doing here?
We'll bring Tony on. He's taking it to weird places. Like when people are like, it's not personal, it's just voting. I almost agreed with that. And you said it the first time he was elected, because this was the case for pretty much every president. If you look down the road, the stuff they do usually matter. But today, they really didn't affect your daily life, right? That was not wrong. Like when people said that, then I disagreed because I had followed Trump my entire life and despised him with a passion. But people were comparing him to the other presidents, even Bush, who was a fucking moron and turned everything over to an evil son of a bitch. It only affected the recession, the housing. You got fucked, but because you invested in the houses. But we still were a country. We still had our tenants. We still democracy and journalism and free speech and freedom over our bodies. All those things still held. 2016, he was voted in, and he didn't give a fuck. And that's the difference. Like all these guys, because it was guys. Hopefully, it'll be a woman in 2 weeks. Cared about the country at the core. Even if they were selfish assholes and politicians and liars, they still cared about the country. They knew the country had to be here, or however powerful they were, it didn't matter. He didn't care about the country. He's never cared. He doesn't care about his goddamn kids. Not one of his kids has been with him for he's been campaigning for how long? Have you seen any of his kids? Where are his kids? Fucking
sometimes in the background.
Emhoff's daughter, who is Kamala's, we've now learned like her daughter, but it wasn't her birth daughter, is talking everywhere on her own. She's doing podcasts. She's doing interviews. Like Biden's kids are here, the wives, like Tim Walz's wife is campaigning around the country. Where are his family? Any of them? Where's his wife? Like, because that's just who he is. You can vote for him. It's fine. But he was like that his whole life. That's why to me it was like, it's different. It is personal because he wants to tear down the base of the country. Like
the guy's a schmuck.
And that's
Let's bring Tony into this here, Lubie.
So what's up, guys?
What's happening, Tony?
What's up?
We were just saying before, and this got Lubie started, which Lubie's been taking a lot of abuse from. Mayo's been beating him up over Lubie's impression that CNN is biased and is trying to make the race look closer than it is. The media would never do that, Tony. I mean, back in the day when you had those board meetings at NBC, did they ever say, "Hey, listen, Tony, you know what? If you tell them the fucking truth, we're in trouble"?
Yeah. No.
Never happened.
No. I just listen. I want to tune in early just to hear Lubie go on a tirade.
Well, there's always something.
Well, a lot of stuff. I mean, you could have thrown almost any one of several topics out there. The Heat loss in game number 1, season's over. FSU being down 21 in the point spread. They're getting 21 points against the Canes, and you're not sure they can cover. When would you have ever seen that, Tony?
That's amazing.
And you're back in town, and you're Mr. University of Miami, and with ties to Florida State.
Yep.
And you know, we keep saying this. Is it just because both of us are getting old? You still look young and retain your youthful demeanor. Me, I'm becoming an old crusty fart.
You are.
But I remember, and we were both in the middle of this. Maybe you more so than me, even because I was doing a bunch of coaches shows and all kinds of stuff with the Canes and pregame and postgame. I remember being on the air. Used to be on the air at the Orange Bowl 4 hours after the game.
Oh yeah,
it could have been. It could have even been a night game, right?
I remember,
and there, people were still calling, asking about, "Hey, what do you think in the second quarter about this play?" But I'm not feeling that. Even with a what are they 7-0 now? The Canes.
Yeah, I remember going to Tallahassee and doing a special with Brian Norcross because he went to Florida State, and I mean we were.
What did you talk about? The weather?
Yeah, no,
no, I'm only kidding.
We were on an hour with limited commercials. Pre-game. This is the night before, an hour, and then pre-game, an hour. Before.
That's it. Boy, you were in a primitive era there. That's how I got my job originally at IOD. Was the pregame show, and your man Joe Zagacki was doing the pregame shows, and he was forced to do. I mean, he did a nice job on this shit. A lot of production and all kinds of stuff. You had to go out, schlepping out there, get a bunch of quotes, try to make stories out of them. You know, you'd break down our offensive line against their defensive line and have quotes from assistant coaches, all kinds of shit going. But they expanded the show from 2 hours to 3 hours, and Zagacki.
That was radio.
He revolted, against management and said, "I can't do this by myself anymore. If you're going to do this to me, I need help." And then I was brought in there on a part-time basis, which the rest is history, as it is now history also. But we did 3-4 hours of pregame and postgame.
Well, we are in the pinnacle, I think, the pinnacle of sports today. I mean, everything is going on. We got the Yankees game 1 tonight. We got the Seminoles and the Hurricanes. We got,
but it's not a big enough deal for Lubie to dodge politics today. That's the weird thing about this game.
He did. I didn't bring it up. I'm trying not to even.
Are you going to be incorrigible, Lubie, for the next what? 14?
No, I'm fine. Everything looks
He's
good.
Okay. Resignation.
Someone said this the other day, and it's so funny because I have a buddy that's like this, and they're like, the Dems are fucking insane, and they're like, it's like the sorority girl or whatever, like the thing where you hear 4 good things and 1 bad, and you focus on the 1 bad. I'm not that person. Like, there's if 4 good things are there, which there are every day, I'm going to focus on the 4 good things. Like, Nevada is the least important state. Why do I give a shit about what's happening in Nevada? Every other state is showing 1 trend, a very great trend.
Who do you think is going to win?
I think she's going to win easily. I think she's going to win decidedly. I think
she's got Kamala in a landslide.
Fucking suck. And I think 2 to 3 weeks to month after is going to fucking suck. I think every marker points to her winning. It's just, it does. Outside of articles from CNN and MSNBC and New York Post, the actual numbers, she has over 400,000 volunteers, and they're not even nationally anymore. They're just focusing on the swing states. If you look at the voter turnout, it's record-breaking, and it's highly Democrat. What the fuck am I, like, she may lose. You never know. God, you never know. But
she may win, and she may lose.
All the numbers point to her. Okay, so then why am I going to be a raving lunatic about it? Like,
there you go.
I'm trying to
Who do you think's going to win, Jeff?
I'm afraid. I really am. I'm afraid that this clown is going to get reelected somehow. And
you're afraid of that. Yeah,
all of my thoughts and all of the things that we experienced as hippies back in the day.
Yeah.
When we felt somewhat responsible for the removal from the presidency of Richard M. Nixon. Okay, and we rejoiced in this, and we thought, wow, we're going to really accomplish something and change the world. It's going to be a better world, right? Woodstock, and look what's happened. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, it's not just here with this election. I mean, you look around the rest of the world; it's pretty sick what's going on. It just absolutely is. They don't even mention the Ukraine anymore. I'm sure buildings are being bombed as we speak,
Yeah.
and being crumbled to the ground with people in them. And it's like the mass shootings. You end up just shrugging your shoulder. Oh, only 4 people died. That ain't bad. You're like, what the fuck are we talking about here, Tony? What happened?
I don't know.
Jim Morrison was on it, man. What have they done to the earth? It's
I don't
unbelievable.
know. I don't. You know, it's a funny world, and it's one that is not getting any better.
Well, it sounds like you wanted to make a prediction on this. I mean, I like the fact that Lubie is boldly stating that it's Kamala by a crush job.
You know, I'm hopeful that Kamala wins. I'm hopeful that she'll win, and you know, I'm holding my breath because I don't think it's going to be a landslide.
It was an election shocker for me when the Trumpster won the first time, and that was at a time where all indicators were that Hillary supposedly had this substantial lead nationally, which she did win the national vote, but that she also was going to roll into the White House there with the Electoral College backing as well.
And if he loses, then what?
Hopefully, it goes away. You know, go back to being a rich fuck. That's fine with me. Do whatever you want to do. Run your life any way you can. Just cross every boundary of legality and whatever it is that you're doing, because rich people can get away with it, right? I mean, some rich bastard mows down a guy on A1A a few years ago, and he ends up on 3 years of house arrest in his penthouse on the beach in the Hermitage, right? Some poor bastard, almost, just can't avoid what looks like an accident, but it's perceived to be vehicular manslaughter. Because he had 2 wines somewhere and wasn't really drunk, but they found him to be. And he's doing 5 to 10 years in prison somewhere. That's the way it is. I mean, if you have go back to being a rich bastard and we'll forget about you, because he would be perfectly forgettable. At this point, if he was just being covered as a celebrity that was out there making, public statements, I mean, it would be the laughing stock of the universe, wouldn't it? They'd be going, holy shit, Cat Stevens and Donald Trump, they both went off the deep end. Right? Where you found out that Cat Stevens, this guy who made zillions, was a great performer in his day, really fit the times, and he's off in the Himalayas somewhere with Ricky Williams reading a novel and smoking a bunch of, high-end weed. That would be fine with me. I hope he goes away. All right, what do you think in the World Series? I mean, I know you're a Yankee optimist and a giant Yankee fan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you feel about the Dodgers. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of hostility usually between Yankee fan and Dodger fan bases, but what do you think, Tone?
First of all, it's the quintessential showdown. Judge, Ohtani, everything, is just converging. And I like the Yankees in 6.
Oh, my God, Tony. I swear to God, I was just looking at calling in a bet on that. You're going to get plus 550 if you get the Yankees in 6. Should we book that? What do you think, Tone? You want something on that? I'll give you a little taste. Yankees in 6, plus 550. That's what it is. All right. And your rationale, I mean, are you basing that on? What, Judge is going to finally get hot in the postseason? Ohtani's going to strike out 8 times against Garrett Cole? What do you think?
I just like the Yankee lineup. I love it. I love the Yankee lineup. You can't get by anybody. I mean,
that wasn't the case though all year long. That's the weird thing about it.
I know.
They literally were known for having only 2 guys that were hitting it during the regular season.
I know.
It was Soto and Judge, and then Judge tailed off at the end and has been traditionally ice cold. All right, let me see. This doesn't exact. Can you recite any Yankee lineups from the past? I can give you.
Oh yeah.
The 1960 Yankees batting order still.
Me too.
Maybe even with some averages and home run and RBI totals.
All
right, so is it Gleyber? Is that how you pronounce it? Gleyber Torres?
Yeah.
I've always said Gleyber, so recently I heard it done in another way. Hot in the postseason. Wasn't bad during the regular season. Soto was great. Judge was great. I don't know so much in the postseason, but we shall see.
What's going on with him in the postseason? He
just one of those things.
He's not there.
Yeah. He hasn't performed well.
He's putting way too much pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of those things. Barry Bonds was awful in the postseason for many, many years, and then all of a sudden he broke out of it, and everybody had already condemned him as being a choking dog, saying, "Hey, where's the juice when you need it?"
Yeah.
And it was, defended by people, and I've used this also, that it was just too small of a sample size. I don't know that that's the case with Judge, but he showed signs to me, even in the Cleveland series, that he was breaking out of it a little bit.
Coming out of it, yeah.
I mean, even the outs he was making, all of a sudden, instead of just striking out on 3 pitches, he was nailing a line drive. It just happened to go right at the left fielder, and it caught him in his tracks. All right. So you have Soto, you have Judge, Stanton's been great.
Stanton,
Jazz Chisholm. I don't know, Tony, batting fifth. Looks like a complete waste of time to me right now. Even though he started well with the Yankees.
Yeah, he's a waste of time because
Rizzo's got 2 fingers. He's like 3-finger Brown. This doesn't scare me that much. Volpe's been a little better in the postseason, but he was a 243 hitter during the regular season.
That's not bad for him.
Austin Wells behind the plate. I don't think he's doing anything. And Verdugo's been okay, batting ninth. Dodgers lineup, top to bottom, I think is better. I don't think anybody would argue that than the Yankees. Depending on Judge, though. So we'll see.
Staying with the Yankees at 6.
All right, I tried to talk you out of it, but it didn't work. Plus 550, Tony. Plus 5. I think it's worth a play. No.
Well, yeah, I think so. You got to go with the Yankees.
All right. Tony Segreto win with the Yankees, and he's in with Kamala to win it.
Yeah.
Although you don't really truly believe it yet.
I believe,
not to the extent that Lubie does.
Yes, I believe. You know what? I think that we're in trouble if she doesn't.
Oh well, that's an understatement.
There you go, Tony.
And we're in trouble if she does.
Well, that's my fear actually.
If she wins,
they're gonna lose their shit. It's not even that they're gonna. He's saying it. They're losing it now. They're already putting in lawsuits before.
that Mike Johnson's a sweetheart too. That fucking clown.
Fucking Nazi.
What is he? Speaker of the House? My God.
Lubie, you're right. You don't see any of his family there.
No, you don't see anyone.
Rallies.
I've seen Eric Trump after he was on after some of the debates.
You do see Eric Trump, but Ivanka was the one that people almost liked, and you don't see. She openly, she was in his cabinet. She openly was like, "Yeah, I'm not campaigning." Like she talked about it before he even said he was running. Like that's not a great whatever. I don't know. We're in a weird fucking world.
Unbelievable, Tony. Unbelievable. All right, so let's get your prediction here. FSU Miami. I guess you'd have to approach this from does Miami cover the spread?
Yeah, gambling. It's gambling.
No.
It's only a gambling event at this point. It's not a game, is it?
No, I don't think so.
All right. If Miami loses at home to Florida State, then
Miami loses at home,
fire Cristobal immediately. Immediately. Don't even let him go into the locker room to address the team. Just take him right off the field, into a cab, straight to MIA. As in missing in action. Right.
I can't figure him out. I like him.
You must have known him, though. I did when he was a player. I don't remember thinking anything but positive thoughts about Cristobal. Seemed like a good guy.
I love the way he recruits. I just can't figure him out.
He's a shitty coach. I mean,
what are the alumni saying? You're in touch with the guys with the bread. So what are they saying?
They
like it?
They're winning. What do you want? I mean,
they're winning. They're winning. They're winning big. All right. This is a big game for them because this is a backyard brawl. This is where the kid playing guard knows the kid playing guard across.
Does that still apply when one team's like 0-7 and the other 7-0?
Yes, it does.
I mean, it becomes your Super Bowl. I just whatever. I don't have much hope. FSU's offense is so abysmal.
Are you taking the points, Louie? That's the question.
This is
the line's perfect because I think UM wins. I think they win decisively, but they've been struggling to win by this margin the last few weeks. And FSU's defense is actually as bad as their offense is. It has improved and it's keeping them in the game. I don't know. I wouldn't make a pick. I think Miami wins. I think they win decisively. I don't know. I mean, 21's a big enough number. The rivalry bullshit. I don't know. And Miami's lost 3 in a row now, and FSU's put it to them the last 2 years. Yeah, last year's score was tighter at the end because of that stupid ass play by the safety, but FSU was clearly in control of that game, and they beat the shit out of them the year before. Like Miami, you would think they would unload in this game to me. So
Right.
I would stay out of it personally. For me, if you're a Kane fan, I'd go in. Like, why not? I mean, if you watch the two teams play.
This isn't some Kamala town hall here. We want a straight answer out of Tony Segreto. Are you laying 21?
Yes.
You are laying 21 with Miami. You
Yes.
see this as a thorough, embarrassing clubbing of seals like
I
beatdown.
think it's something that's personal to Mario.
All right. We'll accept that. And final thing here, Tony. Tua, the return of Tua. What do you make of that? People are thinking it's enough to. You don't think anything of that, really?
I think he should retire, but
Yeah, we're I think we're
Wow.
all the same fucking
I mean,
page.
we haven't seen him go out there. Is it possible? Didn't look like that the level of severity even merited the amount of time that he's missed so far. Well, when you saw the way that he got hit on that particular play,
yeah,
who knows? I mean, look,
yeah. Who
if you-
knows what goes on in your head, but
yeah,
in your brain.
Yeah.
But I think why
yeah.
you got all the money in the world. You can, you got a pretty good personality. You could go on the air and,
Yeah.
Ask any retired fighter, how's the weather out there when you get on the phone, and they'll say the kids are fine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the
We
kids-
laugh, but it's fucking scary.
Say it is. It's a little weird. All right, we'll see what happens with that. The Dolphins are going on the road, right, to play Arizona this week.
yeah.
and favored as a road team, favored by 3 and a hook because of the fact that Tua is coming back. Otherwise, you would have to think
If
that
he gets hit one more time,
That's the
that's
problem.
it.
that's it. It's over. It's
Wow.
over.
You're like Mills Lane, ready to step in and stop.
I'm-
That's it, kid. Find another day.
I think you watch the game, holding your breath.
Yep.
Hoping he gets through it.
You know what's weird though? I mean, I'm watching Lamar Jackson. What was he on Thursday Night Football? Whenever he was on Monday Night Football this past week. This
Amazing.
guy, literally, Tony, at least twice, and that was just when I was watching. I wasn't even watching the whole game. Gets hammered with head-to-head contact. Neither of which was called, by the way. One of them might have been, but the second one was. I mean, the guy, I'm just plastered, Darren Stingley type fashion, but head-to-head contact. And you would have thought, supposedly they have these guys in the stands that they see a guy and they're supposed to observe and say, get number 8 off the field. But nothing. I mean, you never heard a word about it. So I don't know. I mean, how strictly are they trying to legislate concussions out of the game? Which you can't do. You just can't do it.
No, you can't. And I'll hold my breath on Sunday.
Oh
Yeah, and you don't know what level of damage is done. I mean, for all we know, those 2 hits, I would imagine, had to have some impact on Lamar Jackson. Whether he was officially concussed or not. I mean, he got nailed in the head where you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And nothing. Nobody even mentioned it.
Nobody even
It
mentioned
was weird, yeah. All right, Tony, you have a good one. You coming out to the track today?
No, not today, but
Okay.
I'll be there next Friday. I
Very good.
don't think I'll make it today, but I'll be there next Friday.
All right, we'll bet a couple of horses for you. Majestic Eagle in the second at Laurel today. Majestic Eagle.
Go Yankees.
All right, Yankees in 6. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen, and the professor's going to join us here in just a minute. So we'll come back with that. We'll have a big board and some college football plays for you
Yeah.
from the professor, who is on deck here in a moment on a Degenerate Friday. Now that it's appropriate. talking about politics here.
And everything.
I'm afraid. I really am, Louie. I'm afraid.
Good. I think it's good.
I'm running around afraid.
Be overly confident, and it actually scared me just as much as the negative. I'd rather be scared. Fuck it. Let's be urgent as shit.
just,
Let's make sure we're scared. Watch the fuck out of CNN. Watch CNN and Fox all day. I think you should just watch CNN and Fox all day, because I want every human being that can vote to vote. And the only way that happens is if we're scared. If we're confident, we get complacent.
Yeah, just that would help a lot.
Be scared.
I'll be running right across the street, man. Hopefully not to step in any dog shit that I left behind because I didn't pick it up. Although I've become much more expert at scooping up dog shit
That's good.
late in life. That is a characteristic that
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't know if you even bother to bend over and fake it.
Yes, my dog leaves. It's like a horse.
That's right. Whoa, you really have to deal with them.
Yeah, they're like big. It's like.
Do you have to get like a hefty bag, or do you use a little thing?
He's a bag, but it fills the whole goddamn
Who,
bag.
who came up with that, by the way? The fucking guy's a genius, no?
Well, the one where you can actually put your hand in and
The
grab
reversible poop bag, man, that you can pick
That's-
right out of the
Yep, the
the sort of handle on the leash there.
Yeah, those are great.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they're
Literally.
classic.
I proudly, when I do pick it up, which I do if it's on the property here, if it's on the church grounds, I figure it's going to fertilize a flower to grow and blossom into a God-loving creature.
There you go.
At least that's what I tell the guy who's chasing me, going, "Yeah, you're going to pick that up."
Exactly.
That wasn't my dog. You just go Trump on that, right? Dog?
Exactly.
What dog? Yeah,
Yeah.
woman? What woman? I don't see anyone. All right, back with the professor in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:34.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently,
We have the professor with us, and we want to accomplish many things here. Mike Lubie, of course, has stated his position on last night's Dolphin game, angry with all of these social media posts about Brian Flores, which, Professor, I mean, looming very large right now is the fact that you, had what appeared to be or sounded like just an absurd
Can we
conspiracy
get a little,
theory.
like, Lubie's getting angry? Can
Yeah.
we get angry that Stephen Ross and the Dolphins let Ryan fucking Fitzpatrick into the building to spread his arms magic?
Oh my God,
And
you're right. Oh no.
First fucking time they do it, Tua goes down with a guy's probably a career ender. I mean, like, how do you let that piece of shit into the fucking building?
Good for you, Ken. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Fucking cops arrest Tyreek Hill, but you let Ryan Fitzpatrick run around the city. Do your fucking job, Miami-Dade police. The minute that fucking Lucky Charms motherfucker showed up in the city, he should have been thrown in fucking prison. Like, how do you let that piece of garbage into your fucking building, Ross? I mean, the man spent 2 years along with Flores trying to kill Tua. And the first time he shows up, what happens? Like, I can't believe you let that scumbag into the building. Like,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
bad omen. No doubt about it. Bad sign.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. There he is, the author of those statements and sentiments about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Not a
The
fan.
professor joins us here on the program. Professor, how are you?
Not a fan.
I'm okay.
All right.
After just yelling.
I mean, I was a little reactive that night, to say the least.
To his back now. What do you make of that? I know you're a diehard Dolphin fan.
Is it
it
something
can't
to be
get any
happy
worse.
about? Like, it can get worse. Like, this is, I think, if you are a fan of the team or a fan of the player, like, he could die on the field at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's exaggeration. Like, we could watch the first, brain-related death in the NFL on field. Like, I think that's, a proposition in play. I have to check all those books and see if someone has what are the odds that Tua dies on the field
Jesus.
prop.
Oh God.
There has to be a number on that somewhere. I mean,
You
there's
think, right?
There's a number on everything. We were talking about this. I didn't even realize it. I tune in the Heat game, and maybe this was part of the reason that the Panthers are no longer on that particular channel, which was Bally Sports. They had Bally Sports Sun, Bally Sports Florida, now owned by FanDuel.
I was about to say they
Which-
rebranded just the other day, didn't they?
FanDuel, yeah, I didn't realize that, and I'm thinking, what's next? FanDuel buys like CBS, and all of their shows end up either posting lines across the bottom of the screen while you're watching some soap opera or a drama. And imagine that the wife is at home if this is a situation that still exists and watching soaps, and all of a sudden she's sending it in on WNBA games.
Which one is it? Is it McAfee who used to be sponsored by FanDuel or bought?
I think
by
so.
FanDuel?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's
either
probably it. Is if they buy CBS, it's just going to be like 20 hours of Pat McAfee.
McAfee all day long.
Literally a show of AJ Hawk just staring into the camera and not talking for an hour.
What is the over/under in the number of words AJ Hawk will say during a 2-hour McAfee show?
Does he talk? I don't
One
know.
of the, I'll give you a better one, because I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Idiocracy.
Yes.
But what are the odds that AJ Hawk ends up like a senator or president? Like within the frame of that movie,
Yeah,
AJ Hawk feels like the perfect politician, just staring into the camera with his wide set hammerhead shark eyes.
and never
saying
making a
anything.
contribution.
Yeah, he's like
even when called upon.
He's the perfect sports personality for 2024.
Yeah, you say, "Hey, Louie, what do you think about that?" And Louie looks at you and says nothing. He just stares.
He just stares. It's like weird.
Like Marty fucking Feldman. I mean, with bulging eyeballs, and you're like, "What the fuck is that?"
Again, it's the wide set eyes that freak me out. He's like a fucking hammerhead shark.
They should at least do something where his face moves or something, or they do some kind of, fucking around with the video, so it isn't just a guy staring at you.
Again, shocking developments. Right up there with Penn State has a couple cases of rape accused against their players. Shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked to find rape in this establishment.
Jesus.
Because it's not like the school has a history of it.
No.
And it's not like
coach.
half the Vanderbilt team was accused of rape when you hired James Franklin. So, that's synergy right there, folks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything to get to the top. Doesn't
Goes
matter
back
how
to
you
that
get
big board we had a couple of weeks, like inappropriate names for your children's teams. The Nittany Lions, number one.
Where is Sandusky? They don't often make reference to him anymore.
I'm pretty sure he's still in prison, right? I hope.
I would think so. Yeah. No, they tuck that. Let's get him out of here. Don't even let him pass by the graveyard at Paterno. All right.
Yeah,
it's a disgrace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that I don't know how much more you can actually disgrace the name Joe Paterno, but
yeah, that was it. I always liked Papa Joe. So we learned he was looking the other way. He was a likable figure.
I was never a fan. So.
Oh yeah.
Championship.
I hated Penn State, but I liked Papa Joe for some reason. Ran into him once at a basketball game, believe it or not, a Penn State basketball game at whatever they call their arena there, and there was Papa Joe, and everybody was uplifted by his presence.
I feel like some people, like the reputation is just too good, too goody-goody, and almost none of them end up actually living up to it, particularly when you're talking about college coach. I mean, John Wooden, who, one of the great coaches, and really, by all accounts, a great human being, but turns out Sam Gilbert was, feeding recruits for years and years. I feel like you get some of those guys that are so elevated, you can't help but expect there's going to be some. Honestly, I'm not a fan. I bitterly despise his team, but I have to respect Dean Smith because he's one of those figures. And in 50 years, almost nothing bad has ever come out about it. I mean, the worst case they've got against him is that he smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Okay, well, you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly.
But he should have been 70s. Permanently disgraced for coming up with the 4 corners. I mean, get the fuck out of here. And then some asshole would be playing, ball at the park and golf to the 4 corners, and you're like, "What the fuck?
Out of here.
No clock out here, you jerk off."
Dickhead.
Well, is that okay? And you're going to be personal about this on a Syracuse, but what is the worst pickup game etiquette? Is it running the 4 corners, or is it running the 2-3 zone? There's nothing worse. The guy Who wants his team to play fucking zone at the park?
Pick up, yeah.
Oh, no, it's just a lazy man's way out of playing any defense. And a way for the guards to cherry pick at the half-court stripe every time the ball went up.
That's
by
the
your
worst
by your
part of it, right?
unguarded opponent there, who you had just left and said,
Particularly
"Miss
if,
it."
You're getting chucked.
particularly if, like myself, you are built for setting picks and getting rebounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like if the guy wants to play fucking zone, that means he just wants to run out and cherry pick on every
that's
rebound.
absolutely the truth. There's no denying that. Yeah, Boeheim lived with it for like 40-something years. Unreal, and they praised him for it. That's the fucked up thing. Much like Dean Smith. I mean, they thought it was clever at the time. The four corners. Let's play a little.
Keep away.
Yeah,
Say keep away.
Shot clock.
Samuji, was that what Paulie Man called it? Where you keep the hat away from your little sister while you're throwing it around with 2 6'5" guys.
This is a great way to kick off the start of basketball season. By the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
I think this is the most basketball talk we've done in a year.
Good though. Get into the fundamentals a little bit. All right, let's get into some picks because we have a lot to accomplish here, and now a shorter period of time, but we'll get it all done. And get into some college plays for the weekend, Professor.
Okay. We're going to start tonight, and that's Boise State laying 3.5 to UNLV. I don't know how much I even need to say on this one. If you paid attention at all, Ashton Genty and Boise State have one of the best rushing attacks in the country. They are 4th in the country in rushing. And normally when you say it, you're talking about an option team that spreads the ball around. In Boise State's case, it's all Genty, who really is trying to cement a Heisman campaign here, and I expect him to continue to roll on with his television opportunity tonight. UNLV's defense is not good. We saw that a couple weeks ago against Syracuse as they went up and down the field offensively. I expect the same thing tonight. Could be a little bit of a shootout game. I expect UNLV to score some points, but I don't think they're going to keep it close enough to get a 3 and a hook. Again, I think this is an all-offensive game for Boise State. We talked about another show. I doubt UNLV will have a legitimate defensive stop at any point during this game.
Oh, Jesus.
Maybe at the end when Boise State is up a couple scores, they'll sort of run out the clock. But other than that, I would not expect UNLV to have a stop here. Genty, another huge game in Boise State with a Friday night win, laying 3 and a hook.
All right. Starting out with Boise State. That happens tonight, laying 3.5 to UNLV. Up next, Professor.
Up next, I believe it is a noon kickoff. It is, and we're going to ping pong a little bit here. We picked against Indiana last week. We were very, very wrong. And the number one reason I picked against them is I didn't think their offensive line would hold up against Nebraska. Not only did they hold up, they absolutely dominated. And I don't see any reason why won't do that again to Washington. I really understand this line. Laying only 6 and a hook a week after blowing out Nebraska. You're basically saying Washington's as good a team as Nebraska. They're not. I think their offense is very stagnant. Their defense has been okay in moments, but you go back a few weeks ago when they had to come across country to play Rutgers on a Friday night in a situation that should have been even more advantageous for them kickoff time wise. They look very disjointed throughout that game, and I expect it here. Again, something we didn't consider last week is that fly across the country to play a noon kickoff factor. That's even more in play this week as Washington has to come all the way from the Pacific time zone. Everybody knows in the NFL with 1 o'clock kickoffs and college with the noon slot kickoffs, those West Coast teams traveling east to play a noon kickoff. It's a huge historical bad number here. I expect that to continue. Indiana hosting game day, which is
they're hosting game day. Oh, Jesus.
I would have ever thought in a million years was going to happen. Interesting pick for the guest picker there, Kyle Schwarber, who I had no idea went to Indiana, but apparently did. I guess Isaiah said no to the guest picker spot after ESPN aired that Michael Jordan movie. But it should be a big emotional moment for the Hoosiers. Arguably the biggest moment in Indiana football to date, at least the biggest I can remember. Maybe, when Lee Corso was coaching there a million years ago. So Indiana minus 6 and a hook.
Coming out on top over Washington. All right, so we have Boise State. We have Indiana, both laying points, although not an enormous number to overcome. And a nice turnaround. It's good. Every now and then you you realize, holy shit, I was dead wrong about this.
And let me get paid back for it. Yes.
Yes, let me get my money back on these guys. All right, what's up next, Professor?
We're going to do the reverse here. We're going to go with a team that's been winning for us all year long. We've scored on them 2 or 3 times already throughout the course of the season. And that is the University of Illinois, the Fighting Illini, now getting 22 up from 21 and a hook from Oregon. 3:30 kickoff. This game is obviously from the line in Oregon. This is a mystery line to me. I can't imagine why Oregon's laying north of 3 touchdowns. Illinois seems to be, from a betting perspective, one of the least regarded teams in the country. They went into Penn State a couple weeks ago. I think they were getting 17 and a half or 20 or something around there, and only lost by 14. It was a close game. Penn State had to score late, by the way, to make it even.
Yeah, it was a game.
Was a 1-score game. They were getting like 6 or 7 from Nebraska game. They went and won. Last week, they were getting 5 at home from Michigan, which I thought was one of the mystery lines of the week last week. And now they go to Oregon and get north of 3 touchdowns. I don't know why people have totally disregarded Illinois. They're a ranked football team. They're pretty good offensively. They're balanced. They're not spectacular, either running or passing, but they're good at both, and they're a very solid defensive team. And they have that knack. They don't turn the ball over themselves, and they create a fair amount of turnovers on defense. I believe there's something like, I want to say it's 12th in the country in turnover margin.
Jesus.
And that is a formula for keeping games close against what are considered to be superior opponents. Combine that with Oregon playing their couple of emotional games the last couple of weeks. First Ohio State, then the big Friday night Fox game against an underwhelming opponent in Purdue, but still fairly big moment to have to travel across the country and play on network TV on a Friday night. Now they bounce back to Illinois. I think maybe they'd be a little weary at this point. Again, this is not a money line shot. I think Oregon's going to win this football game, but I just don't see this as a 3-touchdown game. And I think part of this number is the fact that Illinois' running back is hurt. But if you've seen Brett Bielema, his teams are always running back by committee everywhere he's gone, number one. And number two, I actually think the injury line favors Illinois here because Oregon is missing their tight end, who is a huge part of their offense, and might be missing Holden, one of their better wide receivers, probably their second best wide receiver after the Tez kid. Again, so I actually think the injury factor favors Illinois in this spot. Illini plus 22.
Very good, my friend. All right, getting more than 3 touchdowns with Illinois against the number 1 team in the country, Oregon. And I think you had one more play.
I absolutely do, and that is the one I personally think that I probably should have put on the show the last week, and I didn't, and that is the Michigan Wolverines. Last week laying 5 on the road against Illinois. This week laying 5 at home for Sparty against Sparty. If you have seen Michigan's offense shouldn't be laying 5 to anybody. Okay, if Michigan was playing, I don't know, I don't even know any FCS teams anymore. If Michigan was playing North Dakota State, they shouldn't be laying 5 with that offense. Can't make any plays in the passing game whatsoever. Look, everybody's going to say, well, it's because of defense in the running game. By the numbers,
our quarterback sucks.
Sparty's defense is better than Michigan's. I mean, you look at it, 70th in total defense to Michigan's 86, 72nd in rushing defense to Michigan's 193rd, 90th in passing defense. Now, Michigan strong against the pass, but again, that's and they give up less points. I explain this number to me because honestly, the wrong team's probably favored. Even at home, Michigan shouldn't be laying north of 1 or 2. It should be a sub-field game. For some reason, they're laying 5. And of course, we know Michigan State coach Jonathan Smith, as an underdog, has been an absolute killer, both in Oregon State and now so far in Michigan State. You saw it last week. I believe they were getting 8 or 9 from Iowa. They won straight up by 12. Sparty's offense actually seems to be improving under Childs, who is a quarterback we've seen has potential in the passing game, just needs to get a lot more consistent and make some better decisions in terms of throwing into coverage. But again, wrong team getting points here. Sparty plus 5 to round out the week.
All right. Excellent. And brilliant analysis. Let's hope it holds up and that we can cash a couple of tickets and make it a very profitable weekend on college
Yes, that would be
football.
nice.
All right. Let's do it. We get to the big board of sports endorsements. Oh, for the 2024 election.
I don't
Very
think
appropriate.
they even introduced this one. We're just rushing through. No, I'm teasing. Obviously, it has been a big week in politics. A lot of things have happened, and a lot of it has involved the sports world. So we thought we'd take a look at both sides because we do try to be fair and balanced, even though I have my own opinions on this particular election. I tend to have some vocal opinions about pretty much everything, so it's not uncommon. But we try to bring a little balance to it. And so we are looking at the big world of sports endorsements for the 2024 presidential election. And some of the athletes who are out there giving their opinion, because we, unlike, the people at Fox News, don't think all athletes should shut up and dribble. They should, as Americans, exercise their voice to give their opinion. And let's be honest, because a lot of it is really fucking funny. So that's the big board this week, the big board of sports endorsements.
All right, here we go.
And number 5, which is a big one, and I think we're just going to talk about it, and that is Pittsburgh Steelers with brain damage.
No.
No. Which leads us to a couple of questions here. Number 1 question, wouldn't we, let's be honest, and it's tough to ask ourselves, look in the mirror, but let's be honest, wouldn't we all be a little better off if we had just let Vontaze Burfict finish Antonio Brown off like 10 years ago? Would the world be a little bit better place if that had happened? Number 1, maybe that would have slaked Vontaze Burfict's bloodlust, and like the other 8 dudes he went on to injure might not have gotten hurt. Like maybe at that point, the little voice, the little sock puppet in Vontaze Burfict's head would have been like, "You don't have to jump in people's head and knees anymore, Vontaze." And would we really miss Antonio Brown at this point?
Oh, he's lost.
And question number 2,
Before this,
can we nominate Mike Tomlin 10 years later for
Yes.
the work he did, for a Nobel Prize for the work he did in that Pittsburgh Steelers locker room
look what was
back
there.
in the mid-2010s? Look at what he was fucking dealing with. And we haven't even gone into Ben
Harrison was there.
Roethlisberger with his motorcycle and date rape. Like, we haven't even gone into
Harrison.
just these 2 alone. Wasn't that? We haven't even got into Rashard Mendenhall saying all Americans should be sad about the deaths of Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't even
Minor
gotten
stuff.
into all of this. Like, just these 2 alone seem enough. And the third question, which is political, who the fuck would want these 2 to come on stage and endorse it? Like, who looks at Antonio Brown's behavior over the last few years and like, you know what? I want to bring that guy up to make a speech endorsing me for president. Wasn't there some chance that Antonio Brown was going to grab a television set and throw it into the crowd like he did off his balcony at the condo?
Imagine he throws one through the Mar-a-Lago clubhouse window.
Yeah, wasn't there some chance that Le'Veon Bell was just going to pick out some random chick and show her his genitals on stage? Like, he's got a history of doing this. Let's remember the Miami party.
Yeah.
The famous one from a few years ago. I'm just saying, I don't know. I feel like this was a risky endorsement here. Not because these two still don't have fans. I'm sure there's somebody who's still an Antonio Brown fan. I don't for the life of me know who that would be.
Can't imagine.
Again, someone else with significant brain trauma, I would imagine.
Brilliant. Yeah,
But,
and
like,
appropriate.
Who in this campaign was like, you know what we should do? We should bring Antonio Brown up for a campaign speech.
Well, it was kind of in line with him bringing those 2 rappers that are up on murder charges up to bring him on when he was trying to win over the good favor of New York.
I feel like, to be honest, was much riskier than that. I feel like
maybe so.
Brown, with his clear CTE history, the risks of him saying or doing something was much greater than a rapper accused of murder.
All right, brilliant start. That's number 5.
Number 4, and we're going to flip to the other side here, and that is guys who like to punch people in the crotch for the Harris campaign, and that is one Draymond Green, who very publicly, after not being announced as a board member for Athletes for Harris, went out and publicly lobbied for a position on the board of Athletes for Harris. Okay. Is Draymond Green the guy that just America doesn't want to know what you say, but he's going to make sure you know about it anyway? Between that stupid barbershop show and all the I feel like as much as everybody else, like Marshawn Lynch, like, I'm just here not to get fined, boss. As much as most athletes hate the media and don't, I feel like Draymond Green is out there grabbing reporters in the middle of the locker room. Come over to my locker so I can give my thoughts on this particular topic today. I feel like Harris and Walls are like, Draymond, we don't really need your endorsement. Wanted to donate a couple bucks, that's okay, but you could do it quietly. I'm just saying, I don't think anybody from any campaign is reaching out to
That's funny.
Draymond Green.
No
I
way.
feel like, if anything, one of them was there to try to get Steph or Clay to try to
Exactly.
endorse.
Like, come
And
on.
Draymond was like, "Me too, me too."
Like a Steph
Come
comment?
on, let me
Steph.
tell you how much I support her. Yeah, I don't feel like that was voluntary on the part of the campaign. I feel like Draymond just was like, "Oh, somebody else is getting some attention for something. I'm going to go find this campaign worker. I'm going to punch him in the balls and make him listen to my endorsement."
Might weaken the campaign a little bit. That's for sure. All right, that's number 4. Draymond
Number
Green.
3, and important announcement, because on top of everything else, she just put it on Twitter yesterday that she went and voted for the first time in her life, and that is NASCAR drivers who like to crash a lot. They're for Trump.
Oh, that helps my belief that maybe the Trumps will go down now.
Pictured here, yes. Again, I mean, look, when has Danica Patrick ever won anything?
Nothing.
The valid point. Pictured here is Danica Patrick with Tulsi Gabbard the other day, right before the Trump rally, where Tulsi Gabbard announced she was now a member of the Republican Party. We use this particular picture because it is noteworthy that the person driving the car not only did not let Danica Patrick drive, but they put her in the back seat. So that they're like, "We got to get Tulsi to an important rally. We're not letting you anywhere near
the wheel
of this car, Danica."
In the back seat.
And I think, honestly, I have figured this one out. Danica Patrick is pro-Trump because, one of the big women's issues here is, of course, abortion. And Danica Patrick is like, I don't understand why, legalized abortion is that big a deal. If you need an abortion, you just crash your car into a wall over and over and over again until you miscarry.
Holy Dale Earnhardt, what are we talking about here?
I'm just saying, like, what is Danica Patrick best known for? Crashing cars.
Crashing cars, man.
100%.
The over-under was always 3.5 laps as to when she would crash.
If Danica Patrick is in the car with Tulsi Gabbard when you're going to an announcement, you don't let her. I'm surprised they let her in the car, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't rent a U-Haul and stick her in the back.
Go back there.
We want you
weak
far away
endorsement
from the operation of this vehicle as possible, Danica.
No doubt. All right. Well, that's encouraging to see she's back in the
I
Trumpster.
just love that.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2. Ex-baseball players who are guilty of financial crimes love Donald Trump. That, of course, is the very public endorsements of Kurt Schilling and Lenny Dykstra,
Yeah.
who people have forgotten were teammates. Also, together, teammates on Team Trump. I don't even know what to say about this one. Like, you've either gone bankrupt or gone to prison for financial crimes. I feel like it's very clear whose side you're on here. Like, the guy who understands bankruptcies after he's had 7 of them,
he sees you.
is definitely, feeling your pain, Kurt Schilling and Lenny Dykstra.
Yes,
And in
absolutely.
Lenny Dykstra's case, probably also thinks that car washes are the way to financial freedom.
And may soon be doing time.
And by the way, if you ever see the pictures of have the same, like, oh, let's just randomly throw gold shit up everywhere. Donald Trump's case, it was a toilet. In Lenny Dykstra's case, it was a couch in the middle of a car wash and the sign of the car wash itself. So they have that in common.
Oh, Jesus, that's true.
Yeah, Schilling was brilliant also with his scam. That was a piece of work, to try and figure out also. All right,
Number 1 is actually a split endorsement, and it just came up this week. And that's we'll go first for the Harris side, which is Arnold Palmer's family endorsed Kamala Harris, saying they were embarrassed by Donald Trump's conversation about their father. This is his daughter on the left and his granddaughter on the right, or maybe vice versa. I don't know it. Both came out and said that their father and grandfather, a big theme to him was being humble and never thinking he was above anybody else. And that was part, obviously, of Arnie's appeal, was his workmanlike nature, and that they didn't think their father and grandfather would relate to Donald Trump in the least, and that they were not fond of his comments. On the other hand, Arnold Palmer's dick, very pro Donald Trump. Reached for comment. Arnold Palmer's dick said, it's about goddamn time somebody talked about me. For 40 years, all I've been hearing is about iced tea and goddamn lemonade. Nobody talked about how impressed other golfers were in the shower by me.
He was the
You know,
PGA's
I really
version.
wanna know.
I didn't know.
I
I
mean,
never
like,
heard
how did we get to this point in this country where this is actually a thing?
It's a campaign issue.
President
campaign
running
issue.
for the United States takes a moment in a political speech to talk about Arnold Palmer's Johnson,
And compares
and
him.
then follows it up
He keeps
by
going.
saying, "I needed to talk about this today because we have a lot of very sophisticated ladies in the crowd." So
Yeah.
first he talked about the size of Arnold Palmer's cock,
Right.
and
Makes
then it
perfect
was like,
sense.
and you ladies really enjoyed Arnold Palmer's Johnson too.
Yeah.
How do we get to this? And honestly, a lot of people are assuming Trump went off script. I personally hope this was a planned part of the speech. I really do hope that before he gets this, he went to the speechwriter, is like, you know what? You got to give me a minute worth of material on Arnold Palmer's dick. Like, I really want to hope that somewhere in the teleprompter there's a note. Talk about Arnold Palmer's dick here. Like,
It was enough to swing my vote.
again,
Exactly.
and Arnold Palmer.
Any guy that would have the nerve to do that will stand up to Putin.
Arnold Palmer's been like the guy who's known as the old guy since like the 1980s. I don't think anybody has thought about Arnold Palmer's Johnson while he's doing those Pennzoil commercials running the tractor. Like, I don't think. I wonder how big Arnold Palmer's Johnson is. Was ever a conversation? Like,
You never heard Ken Venturi references.
right?
Exactly.
You know, this
I
guy
want to know how
Schlepping
this came up. Like, he talked about like what, like. Well, I do this very intentionally. I bring up different subjects. It's called the weave. I do. What part of the weave was Arnold Palmer's dick? Like, this is where we are in 2024 again at a legitimate, camp during a presidential speech.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks out. Or 3 weeks out.
Give me the copy on the section on Arnold Palmer's dick. And all the ladies in the crowd
Pops up in
know about the
conversation
size about
all the
Arnold
time.
Palmer's
Like a
Johnson.
little thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
You talk golf with anybody.
It does talk about. It does explain that locker room talk crap from a few years ago. Because he thinks this is what dudes talk about in the locker room. I have never spent a minute of my life having a conversation about the size of golfers' genitals with other people. Other men.
Think about
But
that.
apparently, in Donald Trump's locker room, this is something they talk about.
Let's not forget.
Arnold in the shower.
You see that, Arnold?
His rival, was known as Big Jack. So, maybe we'll get into that also somewhere down the campaign. Yeah. Well, he was Fat Jack at one time.
Yeah.
But that was more appropriate for the beloved New York Mets pitcher, Fat Jack Fisher, who was one of my all-time favorites. Professor, great stuff. We will catch you on a little Barrier Bookie, I hope, in about 10 minutes here on the show.
All right.
Hopefully,
Well,
I think I sent you that link many days ago. So thanks so much for joining us, the professor, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we'll be out at the track later on, 10 Palms, with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox.
Yes.
And then what? On to Runway 84? Is that really the deal?
Yep, Runway 84 after. I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Gonna do a show.
Right.
It's supposed to be a party. A lot of people supposedly involved. So ready for a return to Anthony Runway 84.
Very nice, very nice. All right, I'll see you later on, Lubie. Always a pleasure, my friend. And we'll see you guys as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.